Welcome to Lowercase Letters, the podcast, with Laura and Elizabeth. We're two humans, mothers, friends, and entrepreneurs, exploring the sacred and spiritual threads woven into every corner of life. From science and technology, quantum physics, and AI, to art, music, psychology, and beyond, nothing is off limits. Join us as we dive deep, challenge the questions, and spark new perspectives with expert guests to enlighten and inspire. This is Lowercase Letters. Let's begin.
We are live. We are live.
Oh, we're live. We didn't do any of like the pre-show, the pre-gaming stuff that we were talking about doing, or that I was talking about doing.
And we always get into these like fabulous conversations right before we start our podcast, and we're like, we should save that for the podcast. So we're trying to save it for this.
Yeah, we have a hard time containing ourselves.
We do. I know there's no right and wrong, but you know, as we warm up, we're just giving ourselves that space to just say and do whatever, or disagree with our own comments as we move through. And this is about all of you guys. This is about all of you. So we're here channeling you, right? We're just like
it feels like the collective, like everybody right now. I don't know about you, but the more people I talk to, they're just like, they feel something and they don't know what it is. And then we all end up kind of having the same, like, feel like the same aha moment. Like, we're talking about the exact same thing, but it's so hard to articulate.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so what is that thing?
What is this thing? That is exactly. You have no idea what we're talking about right now. I could be talking about interior design for all we know. It's like have the color of the year.
We right?
Like it's Benjamin Moore. Exactly. Yeah. We do both have an interior design background, but that is not what we're here to talk about.
That's right. That's right.
It's not like
Although,
we love it.
Although I will have to say the sacred isn't everything. So in all it's interior design too. And interior design is so much about symmetry and energy and movement and flow and feng shui and all that. So God and the divine and sacred is all in that.
And honestly, the feng shui thing too, all of this talk to me 2 years ago, I'd say that you're insane. And that's what all of this has been about for me. Whereas like I fought so hard to not believe in this mystical source, something else. But then it was just like over and over again. The more I opened myself to it, it was just like I didn't have to do anything necessarily. I didn't have to look.
So that's like a good full circle, taking us back to the intention of the podcast, the purpose of the podcast. So I think we want to we discussed previous to going live,
we digress,
how we wanted to start this off. And you had an idea about making a statement that kind of set the tone for this discussion. And I hope that we hope that you also feel the same way about this discussion, that you can find your own voice with Laura or with myself, and or in between or outside or whatever, and that we kind of not that we represent, but that there's an identification or association or a resonance or something through different elements of what our own personal journeys and joint journeys are going through.
And everything we're curious about, because even though we know we have some beliefs about our spirituality now, and like we have the things that we have built up on, but we're still so curious about all the other aspects and questioning the other aspects, from everything from human design to the freaking aliens and whatever, like all that stuff, that it's just like different types of religions. Like we don't necessarily resonate with one particular one at all. But what we've noticed is no matter who you talk to or what it is that you resonate with, we keep saying the same thing. So it's like, if you're new to this journey, which we're relatively new, like we both fought it for a lot of our lives, and it's just like we just kind of want to go on the journey with you, instead of us sitting here knowing like this is exactly what I believe, so you should believe it. This is what worked for me, and this is what worked for Elizabeth, so you should believe it. It's like, no, it's like, let's explore this together. Let's be as curious and as like, what the fuck is happening together.
Totally.
And then we'll go back and like in 10 episodes we'll be like completely contradicting ourselves, because it's like,
I hope so.
Now, exactly, because now we've learned something else that we're like, okay, we can go with it. And this goes into like, why is this called lowercase letters?
And Laura's idea to start this off with a bold statement was that, that I believe in God and that you don't, or that you're a skeptic.
Thank you for keeping us on track.
So I feel like we should start there. There. So you had mentioned that you are a skeptic. And the bold statement is that I believe in God. So maybe we should just jump in there. Like, why are you a skeptic? What? And is it the word God that you're getting caught up on? Like, what's catching you here?
Okay, this is good. Okay.
Because you believe.
Yes, I believe. And you can see when I'm talking that I believe so wholeheartedly in what we're talking about. So saying I'm a skeptic is like, can be a strong word and can make no sense if you see it from the outside looking in. But because like me, I like daily almost need like proof. Like no matter how much proof I get, that is
daily,
like almost like not necessarily like I have this full on knowing, and like things might not pop up and things don't like don't show so clearly, and then I'm questioning it and I'm all over the place, but I'm just so strongly like I'm a completely different person that has I've just had this whole new sense of vitality and life like pumped into me since seeing these signs. And then sometimes when things get really hard, and I just, even though like I fully believe now that like these hard things I needed to get woken up, I needed to I needed to get knocked down as hard and far as I possibly could, so I could look at it and be like, there's got to be fucking more to this life. Like it's beautiful, yes, but it's just like where I was at, I was like, this can't be it. This can't be
So where
it.
does the skepticism come in?
So that's where it's like my logical brain always wants to.
And is it
go back
God
to it.
that you
And
like,
it's God, yeah.
believe
So
in?
there is
Or that's just
that's
what's
that's
your word?
the term that scares me.
Yeah.
And that is where, and yeah, yeah. So the term God scares me. Catholicism, like my family growing up in church, all that kind of stuff, like everything that I learned, everything that I actually took from that. Like I know there's a lot of great aspects from religion, but I never resonated with it. And it kind of like everything that I was feeling or believing was kind of like poo-pooed a little bit from it just like we'll get into that after what rubbed me the wrong way. But so the word God specifically never resonated and kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
Is it too like constitutional and too like institutional, or what is it?
What honestly, what it is,
Square?
it's like
I don't know.
what it is to me is I think it ties back a lot to the Catholic Church and in certain things, but like it's the same thing with why Santa Claus and the Elf on the Shelf fucking rub me the wrong way, because it's like this, you're supposed to like, you've got this creepy man watching you, and if you don't behave, you're gonna be punished for it.
Right.
Like that's just, and it's like do good by this man so that you can later.
So there's
live,
like a moral,
live in
ethical
peace.
kind of
It's a
code
whole, it
that
never made
keeps
sense.
you right, and it's almost like this power.
Yeah.
Thing.
And it's like, yeah, it's this power thing, and it's like, and it's not saying like do this and then you like, it just doesn't show you. There's so many levels to it, but it's just like I don't want to sit here and try to like behave just for a man so I have a good man or whatever this is, so that I can have a good afterlife. Like
God.
I want to.
God's not man.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
We say I use he though too. But I think being skeptical is like one of the most important aspects of being spiritual.
Yeah,
I think it starts with skepticism, and skepticism. I mean, that's the only way you will actually know that something is real is by questioning it. I think coming in with blind faith doesn't get you far.
Yeah.
You know, and even along the journey, you're always questioning it. That's part of just the human design that you talked about. That's what we're designed to do.
Yeah.
That's how we like create our whole worlds, and how we, have points of reference, and why ego is there. It's all about assessing risk and judgment. And is this good for me? Is this not good for me? And we develop from there. But I think for me, why I use the term God is because we both come from different backgrounds with it, where you come from a religious background, I come from a non-religious background. I'm very, I wouldn't say atheist, but kind of a spiritualist, but anti-religion, very anti-religion. My parents did not, they were almost hostile and antagonistic towards religion. So I grew up with this very kind of negative idea, especially about Christianity, thinking again that it was about control and institutionalized indoctrination and all these things. And then, understanding and finally allowing that to release into something so beautiful, where in the past year and a half, I've really felt like I've discovered intelligent design and life in a whole new way. And it was always the things I thought was the most simple and silly. And I'd be like, I don't believe in that. Like, I'm too intelligent for that, to believe in something so simple and fairy tale. And now to come
the
full
fairy
circle.
tale aspect of it is a big one.
It's like, it's a crutch. It makes you feel good in life to believe in God. And something that's, someone's going to coddle you and cradle you. And the truth is, I've discovered that there is a real element to all of that, and that love pervades everything. And that the fairy tale is essentially real. Maybe it's not the way that we've described it in the stories, in the human story we've described it, but that it's a real force that's really there. And we'll talk about how we kind of both got there. But I guess the whole question is, why do we even talk about God? Why is God important in all of our lives, or the universe? Let's use
and what is God?
Semantics. And what is God? So maybe we should talk a little bit about that. And why do we even want to do a podcast about this? Like, what the heck? Why? What's the purpose?
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just live our life. Let's pay our bills. Let's make some money and just like move on.
Yeah. It's we just, from the second we met, it was that one of those crazy like people talk about like these like meet cutes with the fucking cute guy or something, and then like the soulmates, and then you just know like you've had lifetimes. But like, where are the movies about that with this fucking girl that you just met, that you're just like, I'm so straight, but we are so soulmates, and like this weird, crazy bananas thing. And but again, like the old me again would have like questioned that and been like, what is this? Like, what is like, I don't know. You can't trust this person, blah, blah, blah. But it's like,
Yeah.
because I've been working so hard on my intuition. And when you say intuition, you don't necessarily think of source.
Right.
But when you tap down to it, it's energy. It's
Yes.
energy. It's quantum. It's everything. Like you can fucking
Yes.
split an atom, put it on the opposite ends of the universe, and they're gonna be doing the same thing. Like there's
Right.
so many
Quantum entanglement.
yeah,
Yes,
like
I
there's
love
so
it.
many things that are actually like scientifically proven. And
Yes.
and it's just like in all my research that I did when like from my lowest, it's like I started with the psychology, the science, because I wasn't like necessarily looking for anything else. But then
Mhm.
they all intermingled and then would touch on these other things that like made sense again in like what seems like a woo-woo thing, but it's quantum science.
Mhm,
But then
mhm.
it's like, and then have like, and the brain, and like even the Carl Jung, is it Jung or Young? I
Young,
always saying
yeah,
Young, but
yeah.
I just
The
saw
J
somebody
silent.
say,
It should be Jung. It's whatever you want it to be.
yeah, but I was like, I don't think. I don't know what that's bad to say. But I was like, okay, I thought it was Carl Young, and then
Yeah.
I just saw like something else pop up, and I was like, is it Jung? Like, I'm not confused. But even down to him, it's like I didn't even realize like what like for like talking about the shadow and stuff.
Yeah,
is
the shadow
actually,
self.
like the shadow self, all that
Yeah.
stuff is actually technically kind of a spiritual and is like
100%.
poo-pooed again. I didn't think of a different term besides poo-pooed. Like,
Yeah, I use that term all
like
the
a
time.
poo-poo,
So
like-
let's use it. We're just
you're right.
Whatever
Poo-poo
works.
it is. Poo-poo emoji. But it's just like because even if you think about it, way back then, whereas like now, people have come around to it and it's
Yeah.
a thing and it's like scientifically studied and like so it's a bit more like or like yeah. There's just
There's so many
everything is so
things.
connected that it's
Yeah.
just like
It's undeniable.
it's undeniable. And
Yeah.
again, if you just sit back and like even if you don't believe in again, it's like thank you. I'll call it source. She'll call it God. We're talking about the same thing.
We
And that's
are,
what we kind of
yes.
like. That's what we kind of realized. It's like, and it's like I'm not even more of a skeptic than you, but it was just more like, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how I even came up with that, but I think it was literally just
Yeah.
the word God that terrified me, and I was just like,
Yeah.
it's the God.
And I think it terrifies a lot of people because
Yeah.
I always feel like when I say the word God, I have to own it.
Yeah.
Because I feel subconscious.
Because you have a shadow,
self-conscious.
a shadow around that too.
Yeah, I do. And it's like I feel subconscious around it because it's like I know that people there's a judgment of that.
Yeah.
And there can be a visceral reaction to it depending on their history. And obviously religion has kind of moved in and out of being a positive force, a negative force, a warring force, an antagonistic force,
An excuse
a
for
healing
people to
force, an
do
excuse.
awful things.
100%.
Yeah.
And so funny, ironically enough, throughout millennia, and it's kind of haunted human history. And so to really own that term again and to own it in a loving, beautiful, comprehensive, all-encompassing way is probably a very incredible, like profound, poignant exercise.
Yeah.
But I'm still working through it. And I make a point of saying God.
Yeah.
Whether I really lean into the G or not, depends who I'm with.
Full circle moment. Let's talk about the name of our podcast.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
We lean into
Capital
the G. Take it down a notch.
Right.
No capital. No,
That's
okay.
right. That's right. Okay, well, I
But
have
not
to
entirely.
say,
Okay, yes.
I love, so when we were talking about what should be the name of the podcast, and I also want to circle back before we forget, after we talk about lowercase letters, I want to circle back to why we should talk about God and why it's so important.
Okay,
So if you
sorry.
remind me
Mhm.
about materialism and the material world. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, but Laura had a really great, so we were talking about it. We had some different ideas. We thought maybe roots and stars, that's kind of on the nose, different things. And we, you know, lowercase letters came up, and Laura, you had the most amazing explanation. We were talking about it over one of our voice notes. And I just thought, that's it. And so take it away. Why? Why are we calling it lowercase letters? I mean, what does it mean for you? And then I'll go into why it means, what it means for me.
Okay. On a couple letters. At first.
Oh, and we have a big
Rosie.
dog here.
Yeah.
He's a Newfoundland, and so he probably might pop in and out of the camera here, but you can hear him in the background.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with. So a lot of our conversations that we had, like, okay, so I digress again. So back to when we first met, and all of a sudden we met, and we just like it was like this spark, and we were just on the same page.
We should
Everything
actually
we wanted
just
to talk about.
A quick side note: we were at a dinner at a restaurant. We didn't know each other. We were seated like
she was out with
away.
Katie.
I was with her partner, business partner, and you moved chairs, and I thought I was so happy that she moved chairs because I was like I need
right
to
at
be
the end of the night
with you, and we felt each other energetically, and then we just started talking like just out of nowhere.
And we couldn't freaking stop.
And then we
we're
like our
both
own
so
little world.
damn busy. Like we both have businesses and kids, and we just like we were pulled in a million different directions.
Yeah,
we don't even have time to text. We don't have time to breathe.
No,
but then so we just start sending voice notes back and forth
from
and,
that
like,
time onward.
From that time on, and I don't even know if I've ever sent one before that. Now I send them to like everybody pretty much, but it's not like to this extent. It's usually like okay, like it's like a quick like hey okay I don't have time. But you and I like we just can't help it. We just Oh, I'm doing it again.
And I think that speaks to, like, again, having these spiritual experiences in life. We all have that. We all have energy exchange and energy recognition. And there is something between Laura and I know that we all feel this way, where you have to know a person. And there's other people who are like, no, I'm good. I don't have to know you.
Yeah.
And your energies are,
Yeah.
it's kind of friction
There's
and it doesn't work.
a magnetic pull that you
Yes.
cannot explain. And there's so much of that it's like you cannot explain all
No.
these things. And that's where it's like the skepticism can come, where it's like if you don't have the hard proof, but it's just like all these instances
is
that
proof.
it's just like, yeah, but that's like something that can't be explained.
Yeah, totally.
So there's so many things in this that you just can't explain.
So even our coming together and our relationship and the way that it's formed and just how we feel the timing and how we feel like we've known each other forever. And you can skip through so much and just understand each other through energy exchange. And
I think conversations, like, it was mind blowing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Like, we just met and we just have everything, all the same deep thoughts, even though again we're calling it something different, but it's just like, oh my God, yes, oh my God, yes. And it was just like,
and safe and vulnerable and raw and honest and not self, where you get into your own head about things and you're, embarrassed or humiliated or worried about saying too much or too little or whatever. It was none of that. It was just this beautiful, wide open space. Yeah. So anyways, going back to lowercase letters.
Okay.
Yes. Why do we need to podcast that? And why God and the universe?
So
why are you listening to this right now? What does this matter?
Yeah. Okay. So back to like, just like, whatever skepticism you have, whatever, anything. And okay, that's not a good place to start, but basically, so what was it? You call it God, I call it source. Some people call it energy. Some people call it, or a Buddha, like whatever it is that you resonate with. We're just trying to, instead of having a capital on just one thing, like because that puts something on a pedestal, and that can be even literally down to like the guy you like or the job that you need to have. Like we're talking about it in a hypothetical way. It's like, okay, like you have been programmed in your mind that you have to be a lawyer and that's going to get your approval from your family. So it's like, say hypothetically, the capital L, that's the job. The capital L, that's the be all end all. It's the top of the top.
That's your capital letter.
Your capital letter for whatever reason.
Right.
So, and with God, he, capital letter when you're talking about God, or the universe. It's just kind of like trying to take whatever it is, because it's just a word, and take it down a notch, even though I know like it's important for other reasons too, but just basically how we're trying to look at it is like, take it down from a pedestal. None of it is more right than the other one.
And you choose what to capitalize in your own life. Yeah, and what resonates for you.
Exactly. And it's like, and even then, whatever it is not above you.
Right.
It's you're at the same level. We're all energetically connected. Nothing is above you or below you. We're all the same. Even when you look down on a person that's talking to themselves, like walking down the street or whatever, you're doing the same thing in your head. They're just saying it out loud, and they have different like circumstances, but you're still connected to them.
Yes,
they're not less than.
And I think that's such a beautiful reflection. Like, to understand that when you truly can have space in your heart for other people or friends or family or people on the street that you meet and strangers, what you're really doing is it's a self-reflection. You're really holding space and love for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think when you're cynical, and I mean, this is exercise that we all can work on in our lives, and I do it daily, is just like when you hold cynicism or you're judging another person or, whatever, you get into that mind trap, vacuous space of gossip and whatever else, which we can all be attracted to from time to time. But that's really speaking good more to yourself, the good old ego. And that's so because we are all each other. Yeah. So if I'm, mistreating you or I'm looking at you in a certain way, I'm really looking at myself.
1,000%.
You're my mirror. Yeah. And that's just such a beautiful practice. Yeah. So yeah, and going back to just with lowercase letters and talking about like we choose to capitalize what we want.
Or just don't capitalize anything.
Or don't capitalize anything.
Nothing is above you.
Right. Exactly. We're all humble even and modest and for me, I think like linguistically, I love to explore the idea that we're beyond concepts and letters as well.
That's like another big
that's another whole like full circle is like to move past the letters and the words and the language and all these like man-made, human-made concepts that have that are beautiful, and they've helped social contract and they've helped evolution and all this stuff within the human realm of experience. But at the same time, it's so hindering because spiritually it's so limiting. It stunts you. It's self-limiting. So it's like in this podcast, it's about moving past the letters. So it's like we first like create, we get away from the capital or we choose to capitalize what we want, and then we move beyond that. We transition beyond that. So it's kind of
it's bringing everybody down to like the same level. Everybody, everything, everything, because we're all at the same level, no matter what it looks like.
Yes,
everybody is.
I would say
everything is.
Clear day, my God.
Yeah, my God. I like that.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, so
Okay.
why God, why a spiritual podcast? What does the universe, like, of universal energy, cosmic energy, the divine, the sacred, the source, God? Why do we need this in our lives? Why is this an important topic? Why should people even listen to us right now? And who the heck are we? And why does this even
listen
matter?
to us because really, no, I'm kidding.
We're crazy.
If you want to listen to us babbling, but no, yeah, because I don't know about you, but again, the more open you get to this, then the more like again, even if you just sit back and you aren't the first one to bring up this conversation, you will see people kind of like going that way or questioning it, or
Yes.
the amount of these.
Do you think it happens
conversations.
subconsciously? Do you think
Like,
people are actually aware when conversations shift into more of a metaphysical realm?
I don't think they always are. And then that's where I was telling you I had a really profound conversation today, where it's like somebody was telling me about how they were nervous um, about a big meeting they had coming up and all this, and like kind of just the little tidbits that I've had from my growth in this. I was able to pull that out a little bit, and then it kind of turned into that a conversation about spirituality and something else leading you into something or driving you, or your intuition again. Like, it was all this whole thing, and then he was just like, wow, he's like, I haven't been able to put that into words, but that's exactly it. So it's kind of like, I feel like almost if you're not curious about it, it'll be obviously it may or may not slap you in the face. I got slapped in the face quite a few times at the beginning, that it was just like, okay, now I need to look into this. But
Yeah.
if you even start now just to be curious about it, see like what people are talking about, what is it, or what is the underlying message that they're
Right.
saying.
And you talked about a collective whether a collective consciousness, an ascension of collective consciousness in the world right now, but I feel that as well. I feel there's a global, and this maybe sounds woo for a lot of people, but I feel intuitively that there is a shift happening within our society, a collective shift, and where the pendulum is swinging, because we've come, and this brought me back to my point that I wanted to talk about earlier before our podcast. Yeah, circle back. I'll try to keep doing that.
Yes, we need you to hold the team.
What's it called? The weave. Trump actually said that the other day. Don't want to talk about Trump, but like, he talked about how he's really good at the weave and he weaves stories back. So we'll try to weave a little bit.
I'm not good for that. That's you.
Okay.
I'm good on
I'll take the lead.
bringing it to a different level, and you bring it back.
You go off. I love it. I love it. And I'll on that journey, the rocket ship with you.
And the balancing. I mean, that's exactly. We balance each other out. The balance the scale.
It's part of our logo. And it's also a significant sign for Laura and I. Laura and I have lots of significant signs that we, hopefully eventually can share. We'll share them on our Instagram. It doesn't matter, and even in terms of why they resonate for us, but I think it's just kind of a cool thing to share that, these signs resonate for us. They show up time and time again, especially in very poignant, special moments that really resonate. And the point is that signs can show up for all of us, and that the universe is interacting with us every single day. But going back to
curious about it. That's
get curious about it. And don't
whatever
be
you
afraid.
believe, just be curious about it.
Yeah.
Or even pick a sign and ask for it, and then go for it. Or even just open your eyes to it and be curious about what resonates with you.
Because we've all had, well, I think a lot of us have had deja vu moments or telepathic. Oh, no, that's okay. Interrupt away. I didn't even notice. See, I'm in my own rocket ship moment. I'm like, I'm going to the moon. You got it?
Is that our next trip? We have been talking about trips.
Let's do it.
Right. I do have a little astronaut figure.
We're already there.
It's foreshadowing.
Yeah. Are you at the moon with us? Or like, we're on a different planet. We're together. But anyway, so why God? Why this podcast? And I point, and there's so many reasons why, but I think a point to consider about the pendulum swinging is that our society is so wrapped up more than ever with the ascent of technology. Obviously, we know it's growing at an exponential rate. So it's changing our neurology, it's changing our biology, it's changing the way that we process information. So that's a very important aspect of human evolution and where we're going, our path, our trajectory. And also this huge focus on materialism. Our whole world is so hyper focused more than ever in the entire length of human history. We are so hyper focused on the material, and it's one of the first times in human history that spirituality and religion has sort of taken a backseat. So up until very recently, I would argue about 100 years ago or less, religion and spirituality held the focal point, the forefront of and it was sort of the focus and the channeling of our human energy and existence. And then recently, within the last 50 years or more, 60, 70 years, we've just felt this incredible growth with the information age, the technology age. Obviously, the social revolution preceded that, and it's changing us. It's changing us, and I would argue not for the better in many, many
Absolutely
ways.
not, no.
I think it's disconnecting us, and we're too frontal lobe. We're too into our own egos and our own vanities and our greed and gluttony, and that's driving a lot of our policies and politics and social contract and so on and so forth. And so I think naturally we're feeling the shift of like, wait a minute, this is off balance. We're not feeling happy. We have mental health problems. We're disconnected. We have anxiety. I mean, how many of your friends?
I have
or
everything on
people-
this list that is supposed to make me happy according to society.
Yeah.
I have the job. I
The
have
perfect
the
life.
perfect relationship. I got married when I was supposed to. I had kids when I was supposed to. I have everything on paper that,
Exactly.
and I'm still feeling empty. Like
Exactly.
what is missing? What is missing? Or on the contrary, you could have none of that and be feeling the exact same. So
Right.
that's what we keep saying. It's like we're all like, so many people are feeling like, not saying everybody's feeling like that. A lot of people are fulfilled, and there's nothing wrong with like with a level of vanity or not vanity,
Totally.
but of just like of
100%.
beauty. Like just to be very clear, like we are not against if you like to look good, if you like to have if you
That's
have
amazing.
a passion to be a lawyer, like all this stuff. There's so much beauty, and there's like you need
And we're in
design,
these-
and it makes you feel good, and it's an energetic upgrade, like to take care of you. Like it's we're not saying any of that is bad. It's just like the focus on it.
Yes.
Away from grounding yourself and away from your intuition and trusting yourself.
Yes.
And seeing the magic around us, like and the interconnectedness, or like
well, because I would also argue that you can like vanity and ego. That's all part of God. I believe that's part of our design, our universe, our that's we're in this vessel.
Yeah.
It's a vehicle of consciousness, and this vehicle is meant to go through vanity and ego and experience beauty and ugliness and all the things, all of the emotions. So we need to feel it. Like let's feel it. Let's validate it. But I think it's better to do it with God energy and with God presence. Then it links it all together. Then it actually makes sense. And it's not this substanceless, I know that's not a word, but like this rudderless trajectory that a lot of us are on for vanity's sake or for ego's sake. Then ego actually has an anchor. Vanity actually has an anchor because it's anchored in source or presence.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's like to what end? You'll reach that milestone, and then what next?
Right.
Like you'll get there, and you'll have to keep searching for it.
Right.
Whereas if you can like live, in the present moment, which is the freaking hardest thing even now. Living, that's a big lesson for me. Is like being present
for everyone.
in the now for everybody, and that's a big thing of it. But just being stripped down and like actually just so tapping in, even if it's like when we say intuition, it's into your own intuition. That's like the onion layers that you need to peel back to get to your authentic self. That is not the conditioning of this outside world. That is not all this heavy, the standards of everybody else. Like just like literally like what makes you happy for yourself. And it's really hard, and that has a lot to do with like shadow work. And I truly believe that all of this spirituality has so much to do with shadow work. And it's like, and manifestation and all that. When we get into that, it's not about just being positive. It's like you have to get down, like sure, you can manifest whatever the hell you want, but is it going to make you happy? Probably not, unless it's coming from an authentic place of your real authentic self. What actually makes you happy, what actually brings you joy, and not what you've been programmed to think might give you love or attention, because that feels like
and I think for a lot of people, they might not understand, like, okay, there's these buzzwords that get thrown around, especially in pop culture, like authentic self and grounding and manifestation.
Makes me cringe a little bit, but
it's quite cringy.
We have a lot of to talk about that. It's beautiful. Again, when used the right way. Same with religion. If you pull out the right things, it's great, but there's a lot of freaking people that fuck it up for us. And a lot of people that it's like,
And also it's like, what does that mean? I think a lot of people don't actually know what is authentic self. How do I get there? What does that mean?
How long have we been recording?
I don't know.
Do we do this in the next episode, or do
we've been recording for 30 minutes, and we wanted to do
that's not too bad.
We want to do a 45-minute quick episode.
Okay, sweet. Okay,
so I just want to make sure that we're like, we're hooking you in. Are you hooked?
Are you hooked? Do you get it? Do you get why we're like?
Or are you just like,
like
figure
a lot of
energy?
It's a lot of energy, or like you can like put in your 2 cents and be like,
Please.
okay, like we want to be questioned. We want to question things. We want. This is the thing. It's like at first it was like. You almost think, okay, to start a podcast, even, I mean, honestly, if nobody listens to it, that's fine. It's therapeutic for us. But we all, honestly,
we are you.
We are you. And we see that so many people are having these conversations on a daily. And we see the shift in people. Like, it's just
huge opening.
It's beautiful. Seeing somebody before and after some of these conversations or before, like, it's just
huge.
like, it's undeniable that it's just like, there's a lot of people.
It's
like
life changing.
Like there's a collective vibrational shift that it's like, and again, even if we don't go collective to collective, which we believe in, but if we go in, even if it just within your circle, like be curious. And it's hard to talk to and start talking to about people. But again, if start wherever you need, start just looking into what is quantum energy. Because when you look at that alone, you're just like, oh, what?
Yeah, just
How has this not been?
and
more
we're gonna
talked about?
we're gonna get into
We
this with
will.
every
We'll get into that too.
podcast.
Yes. Well, and that's
So
the thing.
we'll get
like,
into like
yeah,
how
we'll
do you
break it
find
down.
your authentic self
Yeah.
and like what does that mean and like how do you find this peaceful resonance within you
Yeah.
and this quiet core and and I do think that at the heart of it I think that that is the healing point for mental health, for anxiety, for finding real
Yeah.
friendships, for connecting with source or a career path. I mean, this actually
Yeah, life path. that
it's
is-
life
yeah.
path. It's everything. So we're
Yeah.
going to talk a little bit about that because we want this for everyone. And it's
Yeah.
not saying like we're there. We're just saying we're ascending. We're feeling it. We're
Yeah.
feeling the flow.
Yeah.
Doors are opening, and it's through this groundwork that we've
Yeah.
done. It's through our friendship. It's through energy exchange. It's through being open with the universe. It's through being silly.
Yeah.
It's through taking a risk. It's through
Yeah.
being fearful and getting over our own inner dialogue and our own ego and being like, maybe there is something here. Like Laura said, it's
Yeah.
about being curious.
Yeah.
But I think you have to take that first step.
Yeah.
And so take
And
it
this
with us.
terrified the
We'll do
shit
it-
out of us.
We'll do it with you.
Neither of us like our
Yes.
voices. We're like, there's so many podcasts out there. Nobody needs to listen to us rambling. Like, we fought this, like,
Yes.
to some degree, but at the same time, again, we truly believe that, like, if something scares you, then
Do
that,
it.
that is like the
If you're
more
too comfortable, you're in the wrong area.
But
you're
also
wrong
take
path.
it, take it from us. That it's like it scared us, but we're starting it.
Yes.
Can you do the same with whatever it is, even if it's whether it's not it's work or we can get into other aspects of life, such as like, you like dive in, like fake it till you make it, jump in. But even
Yes.
if it just has to do with your curiosity about energy,
Yes.
energy you're feeling between people or in the world, and or all of a sudden, like, you get so many people that are like, I believe in something. Like, it's not. I have had this conversation. So it's like, it's
Yes.
not God, but I believe in something.
Pe-
There's
l-
something there.
A lot of people say that.
So many people. So that something is we're trying to like figure out what that is with you.
Yes.
And because our something changes daily, the more we learn, the more we experience,
Yes.
the more signs we get with each other that we're just like,
Yes.
it's so mind blowing. So it's just like, if it's just like to take that scary leap, even if it's to have that conversation with one person, be like,
Yes.
hey, what do you think about that? And then you'll
Yes.
see, it
You'll
pop
see
up
their
over-
transformation as well,
Yeah.
and that will change you.
and the
then,
amount of people that I'm like, there's no way they're spiritual, and they'll bring it
Yes.
up, and I'm like, oh,
Me too.
What?
So
like, what?
exactly, it's a closed door
yeah.
for some people, but they
So
kind of
many people.
they hide it
Yeah.
in secret. And
Yeah,
we're
so
just
many
trying to
people.
bring it out. We're
Yeah.
like, let's get out of the closet,
Yeah.
all of us together. We're not
exactly,
like
yeah.
closet spiritualists
Yeah.
anymore. Like,
yeah,
I mean, we're so
Oh, this
like
is terrifying.
looking into another human's. It is terrifying. Looking
yeah.
into another human's eyes, like looking
Yeah.
into your eyes right now. Like I feel your energy. I see your. It's
Her
light.
vampire eyes.
It's your vampire eyes.
Okay, I'll go back. I know.
We're so in love.
Okay, I told her.
People
okay,
are like,
I know.
gross.
Get a room.
Yeah, fast forward. No, but I guess the feeling is like there's light energy coming from people when you look in people's eyes, when you actually take the time to listen, not just with your ears or with your mind, but with your whole being. When you're not thinking about the next question, we're not thinking about how you're
Yeah.
going to respond or having any kind of performative measure to your interaction with another human being, you can really touch some incredible spaces. Because what it
Oh, it's
really
so
is
good, yeah.
it resonates. It's spirit, right? We are spirit. We are light energy. We are protons. We are made up of that. We emit light. I mean, there's what is it called? There's a scientific word for the it's not bioluminescence, but it has this, and I'll come up with it after, as soon as, of course, we're done recording. But spiritualists will call it an aura. Scientists will call it your bio whatever. And
Yeah, it's like actually, like, they can track it.
they can track it.
Literally.
Yeah.
And
they
you
can
know what
track
the
it.
number one that makes it whatever device they use to track it, you know what the number one thing is that makes your energy the actual strongest?
What?
Is being authentic.
Oh, really?
It's not love or
Well,
being turned on or laughing or funny or any other emotion or whatever.
Right. And how do you measure authenticity? How do they know you're being authentic? I
That's
guess
a
you
good
just know
question.
within
We
yourself.
got to look into that.
It's just-
and
it's
then,
the
like,
same
whether
thing
or
with,
not
like-
I'm right, like,
Yeah.
the amount of things that, like, fucking go through my brain
It's just-
that you read, it's like,
Yes.
we'll dive down and make sure that that's actually accurate before. But it's just,
No, true.
but tying in is
That makes
it's
absolute
just like
sense.
right
Sorry,
back
the
to what we were
dog. The
saying
dog
earlier.
just wants to also be part of this. I don't know. You guys can't see him. He's just
You
a
can't see
black.
him? He's
He's
pretty
a black
handsome.
blob. He just had a haircut. But and speaking of
Just
dogs,
feeling really insecure about
I
it.
mean, I've read lots of things about dogs and dog energy and why we have dogs in our lives, and we have to think about, why do we love our pets so much? I mean, we
We
are
have
searching for
words.
God,
Yeah.
but God is so present. The universe is so a universal energy, cosmic divine energy is so heavily present in our pets, in animals, in trees, in nature. This is why we have a pull to be close to them, and it's therapeutic, it's meditative, it's because they have this very unconditional free flowing I would say God energy. There's
God,
lots
yeah.
of people that
Yeah.
argue, angelic energy. I mean, they're so kind, and they're a mentor really for us in our lives.
And if you're not spiritual, but how do you explain again that connection you have with your dog?
Yeah.
When they don't speak your language.
They don't need to speak.
They don't need to. That's the
'Cause they
point.
speak
There's
that-
something that you can't see that is connecting you to.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Yeah.
Or like that.
He
you
just
like
loves
this.
you.
You like this topic, don't you? Or
Okay,
back
go
to
go
like
lie down,
yeah,
go
like
lie
it's
down.
just like yeah, you don't need to. And it's the same thing with like if somebody pops in your head and then all of a sudden they call you. Whoa, like
Yes.
nobody communicated shit.
The telepathic.
But it's there. There's
It's
some
awesome.
kind of connection. Same
course.
thing with dogs or anybody. Like you can
Yeah.
feel it. I mean, yes, they have a tail that wags, but like just knowing something's happy doesn't give you that connection. Like
Right.
there is so much more than what we can say or what we can look at. And like, do you care
Yes.
if your dog gets fat? Do you love it
Yes.
any less?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you might love it more because you love those little squishy little rolls.
Exactly.
Like, so why can't we be like that? Like, it's like none of that matters. The shell doesn't matter. And it's like,
Yes.
but again, there's beauty in everything, and like there's nothing wrong with that appreciating
Yes.
what something like
And
like I don't want to I want to be very clear about that, but it's
Yeah.
just there's something else there that is
and we
more
should,
important.
and let's open up the conversation. Let's all be talking about it. I think it just shocks me that we're living as humans in this shell, in this vehicle of consciousness for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, like I would say, even if we live to be 100, 150, it's very, very short in, the grand scheme of things. Let's hope. Let's hope with all the vitamins that we're taking, and the longevity experts and podcasts that we listen to ourselves.
Rolling around in our wheelchairs.
149. I made it. Oh, Jesus.
I miss our little fragile. We'll need
Get her to the moon.
Maybe we'll be living on the moon at that point.
Probably. But even if we do live to be that old, it's like, where was I going with this?
I think that the point of you being down here is to live that human vessel experience.
Yes,
So,
and also like how impossible is this mortal experience?
Yeah.
The chances are, I know someone will pull this number out, but it's impossible, the number that you can throw out in terms of the chances of you actually being born on this planet in this form.
Yeah.
And having this experience, this incredible gift. I mean, I love this Ricky Gervais comment that he made about how, your whole life is a vacation. You should think about your whole life, because you came out of the blackness and you're going to go back into the infinite blackness. I mean, this is very pessimistic, cynical. I mean, he's an atheist, outspoken atheist. But I love that idea of like, yes, of course, it's a gift. I believe it's a gift from the universe, but you can believe whatever it is. But it's miraculous because it's so impossible that you're here. And so, and then how do you reconcile with that as this mortal human with a brain and a mind, and you've got all this chemistry going on, all this neurology going on, and somehow we have to function within all that. We have to have a job, and we have to live within a society, and things have to kind of make sense, and we have to kind of, go along with things. And at the same time, we're not having any real conversations about it. We all just kind of mindlessly go about our job and our life and whatever are the roles that we believe in, that we think we need to play in our life. And then we're not questioning. We don't have these open conversations. People are fearful of it.
And the standards that you put on yourselves and each other, and
it's crazy.
Everything. It's bananas. Yeah.
Why are we not talking about this more?
And I have to say too, just to be like on the other half of that, is like when it comes to life being a gift and everything like that, I so strongly believe that. But I also so strongly believe that I shouldn't say, like, okay, this is gonna sound really extreme, but it's
Say
like,
it.
It's like when it comes to like say someone gets the death penalty, I'm like, that's the fucking easy way out, because life is fucking hard.
Right.
Life and the emotions, there's so much fucking shit that happens, and people that get to that point of being put on life sentence, I'm like, to me that's a cop out, taking their life.
Right.
Honestly, because I'm like, life is so
I think
fucking
a lot of people
hard.
feel the same
They're
way.
so hard.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've had a massive switch.
Yeah.
Like I said, once I discovered all this, and this is like, try not to be toxically positive. However,
I love that
the
word.
hard
First time
time.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it's like the hard times I see so much as a lesson, and I say that with caution, because there's obviously things like essay and like other things that, like, I'm not saying like that had to happen to you, so you had that lesson. Like, I'm not saying you brought any of this on, or like that's a blessing. Like or like losing a child, like none of that. That's not what I'm talking about. So I want to be very cautious and with anybody, but there's, like, and I've had, trigger warning, or no, what's the word? Not
trigger warning, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Maybe
Let's roll-
okay,
let's
we'll
roll
roll
with
with it. But like, I have had times in my life that I thought it would be better to not be living. Like, I never took the action, and I never, but I had gotten,
you question the pain.
and you're
like,
just like, why the frick what I want to say here. Like, so,
Yeah.
so it's like, and there's a lot of situations too when people actually take their lives too. I know that there's actually like, if you live in a certain state for long enough, part of your brain can actually start shutting down. That
It does. It atrophies.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
literally don't have that ability to have compassion for who you're leaving behind.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
like it's a choice that you make. So
Yeah.
I don't want to say that either. That is,
Yeah.
but like, and I was lucky enough to not get to that point, but I like, but going around in a circle, that it's just like I have been to as low as I feel like I could get in certain things. I've had like, you know, certain things happen, and it's just like, but now I can honestly look back and be like, honestly, like I needed that. I needed like, yeah, like I needed to get my ass kicked. I can't even remember if we talked about that here today, but
Not
it's just
yet.
like, but it was literally like, yeah, like you can break things down to a lesson that no matter how hard it is, it has been beautiful. And it's just like, oh my God. And it's so hard to see some of the lessons. And it's just so hard to see, like, to take some like radical responsibility for some of the situations in my life that I'm just like, oh my God, it's freeing in a way too. That it's just like, but also, yeah, like it's just like,
I think people are afraid of that. I think people are afraid of taking that radical
100%,
responsibility
yeah.
because
And
I think
it's
it's going to
scary.
cause them more pain.
Yeah.
And I think the realization is when you go into the pain, you release the pain.
Yeah.
It's always like this juxtaposition, this contradiction
Absolutely.
in life. And it's a cruel irony, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
But it's like the more I had this really, I know we talked about kind of steering away from being personal and like having personal
That's true.
anecdotes.
Yeah,
Because
here
it's
we
like,
go.
everyone's like, who gives a shit about your personal life? Let's talk about these like highfalutin esoteric topics. But really quickly, when I was a kid, I used to like love, I have a really weird like fascination with the dark when I was a kid. But at the same time, I'm totally afraid of the dark. Like I hate sleeping in the dark. I have to have lights on like to this day, and I will forever. I'm terrified of the dark. And the dark holds a different energy, and obviously it's the unseen, and there's lots of reasons why. But interestingly enough, I used to have this weird draw to it at the same time when I was a kid. So I used to set my alarm. This is very weird. In the middle of the night when I was a kid, like
Like
little,
how old?
like 9 or 10.
Okay.
And I would go out and I would walk around the block.
What?
Yeah, it like super weird. In like a big, I would just like dress up in a big coat. I was probably I'd probably drag a friend with me. I don't know. My friends probably thought I was weird. Because I probably was too scared to do it. I mean, I should really have a friend with me, right?
Okay, anybody watching this that has ever heard anything about this, whether it's spiritual or whatever, okay, but you keep
I don't
talking,
know
but
if
I just
anyone
want to
knows
hear.
about this.
No, but I mean, like, if they've seen it or experienced it or what their intuition is saying, why?
Has anyone
why
thought
were you
this?
drawn to this? What do you think? What do you guys think? What is the deeper meaning to this? I'm
Yeah.
curious to see. Not that
For
it
me,
matters,
I love
but I
the
wanna
energy
see
of
it,
the moon, and I felt like magic and mysticism, and I felt that was all.
Did you know
very
that
much
that's what
alive
you were
at
drawn
night?
to? Like, did you know you were drawn to the moon and stuff when you were
Yes,
walking?
because I loved like witchy stuff. I loved like seances and magic and this idea of feeling like I had this power, like I was almost my own god. I was my own kind of wielder.
Did your
and
family
deal.
believe in that kind of stuff?
No, but they kind of thought I was cute and entertaining it.
Okay. Yeah.
My mom actually did talk about how when she was a kid, she also used to do like seances and light candles, and she loves tarot and all that stuff. And so I was like, anyways, long story short, I would go for these walks. I was at the Southwest, and I would go for a walk around the block in the middle of the night. Like we're talking like 2 a.m. And I would look up at the sky and the stars, and I don't know if I would talk. Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. I think I would just explore and be really comfortable in the discomfort of it and loving the energy of it. How creepy and amazing it was at the same time. Maybe creepy is the wrong word, but like deep. It was a deep feeling. Anyways, and the experience that I had one time was I was going into this dark street. This sounds awful.
Kids, do not try this at home.
Do not do this.
But I was done by somebody professional.
This was like in the early 90s when it was like not, helicopter parents, clearly you could do whatever you wanted to do. But I remember being afraid because I'm afraid of the dark. And I was like, you know what, Elizabeth, I had this voice within me and was like, go into it, go into the dark. And I think that's maybe what I was trying to do. I was trying to go into the dark like you were talking about by doing being radically responsible. I felt that pull, like go into it, face your fear. And where I felt the more I moved into the darker spots of the road, let's call it, where there wasn't a street lamp, the lighter it became. And I realized that there was no darkness. The darkness was just a projection in front of me. And the more you go into it, it's like whatever is around you, I'm trying to explain this, whatever your point of reference is, that becomes reality. And so
And your eyes adjust.
their eyes adjust.
more
And so
you're in there.
metaphorically,
Yeah.
I think that was such a beautiful exercise that
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah,
there
it
is
was so cool at
yeah,
that age, like,
there is no
jeez.
fear. You go into
Yeah.
fear and it's love.
Yeah.
And that, I would argue, full circle for me is God.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the universe.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's
Yeah.
my long-winded story.
No, I love it. Absolutely.
Cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Do not do that.
Yes.
I was a
Please,
very
children,
weird
yes.
kid.
That is not weird. That's reframe.
Yeah.
And then just like one thing I was thinking about when you're talking about that is that's where the religion thing gets tricky too, because the fact that you resonate with like whatever quote
Yeah,
unquote
God,
witchcraft or
wait,
tarot
yeah.
or whatever, all
Sure.
that shit. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the same thing with me is like the one thing, it's like never knew what I believed in, but I was always fascinated with mediums and like
Mhm.
and the accuracy. And then I have a brother who passed and I always felt a connection to him, but I couldn't explain it. Like
Mhm.
all of this stuff but then it's like, but then you, at least that's what like in Catholicism, that's all a no-no.
Right.
Like you cannot go to a medium, which
Right.
all of that is. So it's like, so it gets very confusing. So you're like, okay, stuff
Right.
that down because that is a no-no. And I don't want to
Right.
go to hell.
Right.
But even though I still don't think if they're, there's again, well, we can get into all that and all that kind of stuff. But it's like
Yes.
you still get enough of a programming that it's like, well, just in case
Yes.
that's true, I might as well not dabble in this. But now
Yes.
it's like, but then like stuff down this like shame that you ever believed in it, but that gave like it lit my soul up.
Totally.
So it's like, so then explore that.
Explore it.
Regardless of what
I would say the
is told.
sillier the better, almost in a
Yes,
way.
yeah.
Because everything that I always thought in my bravado, that we talked about earlier about, God and this sort of monotheistic idea and definition of intelligent design and religion and all this stuff, and I used to think it was really silly. And now I've realized, maybe it's not that silly. Maybe there's certain things, there's aspects of it that really resonate, and
Yeah.
that, I was overcomplicating things
Yeah.
maybe. And so going back to your point about, you just made a point. Oh, I was going to circle back to it. Oh, just about being, thinking about tarot and the witchiness, and maybe that's, frowned upon, and creating these like concepts of like,
Yeah.
this is right, this is wrong.
And this is what it looks like to
Right.
be a witch or
Right.
a tarot reader, like
or a
the
medium,
crystal ball,
or
and like
like let's get outside of that.
yeah.
Because the only way you're going to discover anything
Yeah.
is when you let that flow and
Yeah.
you live outside of concepts. There's,
Yeah.
I don't know, we're talking about Carl
take out the
Jung.
expectation.
Yeah, but Alan Watts is another amazing philosopher. I mean, we've talked about Alan Watts before, and he wrote this book. He wrote many books. One of them is called The Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are, and against
The
knowing who you are.
taboo?
The
Is it?
taboo
Yeah.
against knowing who
Okay.
you are. And he talks a lot about in this book about living in between things, and that we only really register, for example, musical notes because of the unnotes or the non-notes in between the notes.
Yeah.
So sound, non-sound, everything is dualistic. And I was going with something with this about, just about living outside of forms.
Yeah.
So, and human concepts and notions. It's also
Yeah.
a Buddhist philosophy too, that, death is really your life, and when you're born is a concept, when you die is a concept, in terms of, I was born on this date, I will die on this date.
Yeah.
It's a human-made idea that our brain creates, our mind creates,
Yeah.
our prefrontal cortex tries to, control. And the truth is, we are not within that. We are completely
Yeah.
outside of all of that.
Yeah.
We are formless. As Alan Watts says, we're squiggles. Look at the world as squiggles,
Yeah.
not as like necessarily geometric shapes
Yeah.
that have to be perfect and symmetrical and all of that, even though I do believe that, God can be found in fractals and lots of other things. But the point is, live outside of the prefrontal cortex,
Yeah.
live outside of the brain.
And also, because we are in that human vessel, tap into the brain stuff too. And
I love
that
it, yes.
helped it. And that helped with a lot of my shit too.
Be skeptical.
Yeah, be
Question.
skeptical. And like you can even look at it. Like there's the amount of things that I would look at that I would be like, that it would give me comfort to be like, okay, so why am I drawn to this? Or why did I stay in this situation for so long? Okay, well, because even like if you look at psychology, it's like literally your brain would rather stay in something that is comfortable
Right.
than go into the unknown.
Of course,
So even if
survival.
it's like, yeah, exactly. It's literally a survival instinct that this flesh, body, and brain is. So once you understand that, then it's like, okay, so you can be trusting your intuition just because something scares you doesn't mean it's not good for you.
Right.
So it's like, but it's still good to break it down and look at the science of things, or even
100%.
like,
And that's what we're doing in this podcast. We're
exactly.
going to go into all
the back and the
science,
forth, and it's-
technology.
yeah, and it's all
everything.
and it all intertwines so much too. And it's just like, and again, and the fact that even, and you can't help but think too, like people in religion who are so against mediumship. But like the things that you like, if there's a person or something that you really don't like for whatever, you're triggered by them or whatever, and you can come up with an excuse or like, oh, she looks like this or whatever, so it triggers me, or like I don't like that about her. But it's like, if you actually look at the psychology of it and shadow and all this kind of stuff like that, that when you have that kind of reaction to somebody, it's because there's something deep down in you that loves
mirror.
them, but you haven't been able to actually project it yourself.
Yeah, manifest
Yeah,
it.
so it's like you think you hate this thing, but really you're admiring it deep down. So it's weird. So you got to look at the brain and the human anatomy
Right.
and the nervous system and all these things that it does to protect us,
Right.
which hinders us a lot in life.
Mm-hmm.
But when you understand that, that's important too in tapping into the rest of it.
Totally.
Because otherwise, yeah, like you could sit there in something in misery and just not want to leave. But because yeah, again, it's just like it's
And the
like
two are not,
literally-
they're not
Yeah.
mutually exclusive.
No,
like
they
are
yeah,
each other.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you need one in the other.
You do.
So it's like, yeah, so we don't want to live in that, but it's beautiful to understand it.
Mhm.
And yeah. And again, yeah, survival, like, you know, it's like I don't want to jump off this like 500-foot cliff, like brain. Yes, thank you
Ego,
for
yes,
taking
we
that.
need it.
Yeah.
Ego is so important.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's still important, and
Yes.
yeah, we still want to keep y'all alive. However, that just it can't be like, and it's not anymore. Like you can feel it. You can absolutely feel the shift in people. No, yeah, you'll be so surprised by people that you talk to that are getting tapped into whatever it is, whatever this energy is.
So I guess the question is, how do you tap into it? So we can maybe
Yeah.
end. We're almost at an hour. I guess we'll go to an hour.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit more. We got 8 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
So why tap into this? What does it mean for people in their lives?
Yeah, and
How do they start?
Yeah. Well, okay. I think that's almost like an
Another
episode of
podcast.
itself. But like,
Okay.
so maybe if we talk a little bit about like what we're going to be exploring. So
Right.
it's like, so yeah. So like we said, we'll tap into everything from like how do you start to look at your authentic self? How do you even know that? How do you
What is your
whatever?
authentic
What
self?
is your authentic self?
Mhm.
What is our meaning of that meaning of that? Because it'll be different from yours. It'll be different from yours.
Right.
And like it's just like, and again, and that's one of the beautiful things about having these conversations. Even like the God and the source thing. Like
Mhm.
even again, we were saying the exact same thing. We were just calling it something different. So
Yeah.
same with authentic self. Same with everything, all of it. Like yeah. So what we
So don't
plan
get
to
caught up
do-
on the words.
Don't get caught up
This
with
is
the words.
lowercase letters.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
jumble.
Nothing is set
don't
in
need to-
stone.
yeah.
Nothing is high. There's no hierarchy. It's all the same shit, and it's
Yes.
all equally important. And we just want
Yes.
to like dive through it. And that's what the big goal is of all our different episodes. Is like we want to pick away at
What a very beautiful voice.
Yeah. We want to pick away at the different religions, at the different spiritual practices,
Mhm.
and just be curious about it. And then
Mhm.
like, and hopefully some of it resonates with you. And the point too is kind of like pick out what resonates or what doesn't. for you.
Exactly.
And we're gonna have people on that are more specialized in these areas. So this was obviously our just like talking and our excitement about all of the curiosity about it all and like
Yes.
where we're at right now. But
Yes.
yeah, so we want to hear the topics from you guys. We want to like come up with it. We just want to explore it all.
Yes. And how the spiritual and the sacred or the source intersects with all aspects of our
Yeah.
life, and how it moves and manifests all aspects of
Yeah.
our lives that really, and maybe this is diving too deep right now, but that, it's kind of, I look at it like a tree, the roots of a tree. And it's like the inversion of a tree. So the top part of the tree is our material world, and the roots of the tree is the spiritual world, and that it's one of the same thing, and it's moving one of the in the other. So the roots are moving the top's moving the root, feeding the roots, and that's our world. The material world is manifested from pure spirit. You are pure spirit, I'm pure spirit, we're energy, we're light, right? So I think yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know, let's circle back to that.
We're connecting it into like the science as well. Like
That's what I meant. The
exactly.
intersection
You're
of that.
getting-
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
So
it
it's like
moves all
yeah.
things. And so it's
Yeah.
like we want to talk about science, technology. We want to talk about quantum mechanics
Yeah.
and quantum physics.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And like, does the sacred and the source have a place in all of that? Or are they mutually exclusive? Is it just science and the brain? And when the brain shuts off, we go into the vast nothingness. I mean, one thing that, was a very kind of cynical idea that was always brought to me as a kid when we thought about our mortality was, well, do you remember before you're born? No. Okay, well, that's what it's like when you die. I obviously have a very different view of that, but we're questioning all of that and the human experience through all these different lenses. So that is what the podcast is about.
Yeah.
And also maybe, I don't know, should we talk a little bit about where we are, like why we got to where we are today, or save that?
Which part? I feel like
I don't know, like our own kind of like,
our own path.
why do we,
and like how we got into this. Okay,
Yeah,
I feel
and-
like
why do we even
we're getting
have any
long.
like clout to even talk about this? Like,
we
why would
fucking
people
don't.
even
But
listen
that's
to us?
the beauty of it. Is like we wanted to like because like our ego was like, okay, wait, maybe we should like
We need to be
research
experts.
everything. We need to be experts before we talk about it. But no, that's the point. Is like we want to be. So that's like really dramatic, but
I like it.
it's like
Lean
we
into
want to
the
be
key.
on that same level with you because we see so many people that are starting to be like, what is this?
Mhm.
That it's like, we don't want to be the experts that are here preaching to you how you should think, how you should feel, how anything. We just want you to see the excitement that we see something and that we're trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
And then, so we hope that kind of makes it more relatable for you to take that step too, to be curious about it, to maybe be like, okay, yeah, I don't know what this is, but I feel it too.
Yes.
So let's look at it. Let's see what
Yes.
resonates. Let's see what lights your freaking soul up. Because I still can't believe all of this is coming out of my mouth. I can't even, you would not even recognize me from like 2.5 years ago.
But that's the beauty, is
yeah.
that like this
And it's never
transformation.
too late. And
Yeah.
it's like, and all of it. It's just like, it can start at any time and you can get curious about it and we can go back on it and change your mind later. Like it's
Mhm.
so, it's
Mhm.
so like, it's just exciting. But yeah, so hopefully you can resonate more with us because we're just like, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yes.
And like, we still want the experts on here to give their opinion and we'll still question them. We'll question each other. We'll question
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
We want you to question us. You want us, like, everything.
Yes.
And we think that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Totally.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll just
So that's
I'll
why we're
just sit
here.
back here and be like, yes, amen, sister. Amen.
Hallelujah. Oops, that's it. Yeah. No, I need to be careful about, my arm was very straight. I was like, my hallelujah was, I have to be cautious.
No, you don't need to be cautious. You're just like,
Yeah.
just free flowing, girl, organic. Well, this is great. Okay, so I think we'll end it there.
Okay, yes,
and
we'll
then
end it there.
see-
Yes. Thank you for hanging out. If you made it to the end of this, I'm impressed.
You
You
made
made
Yay!
it. Yeah, hopefully you can kind of keep along. But again, just hopefully, even if you do not agree with a single freaking thing you said, hopefully you can feel the excitement, feel
Yes.
like
And we're just having
we're
conversations.
just-
We're
yeah.
having hard conversations. We're having conversations that maybe don't feel fully comfortable,
Yeah.
even for us, but that's the whole point of it. And just to
it's
start the
changed our
conversation.
lives. Like things
Yes.
are just like, I just want you to have a fraction of how I'm
Yes.
feeling. All of you, like,
It's honestly the most incredible experience. And we'll talk a little bit. I know it probably sounds like really abstract right now,
Yeah.
but the experiences that Laura and I have had, I would say in the last year and a half, 2 years, have been absolutely life changing,
profound.
transformative.
Yeah.
We can't even, it's hard to articulate it in words, but we're going to
Yeah,
try
you
in this podcast. But it's there for everyone. It's available for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's all around us. And so we want to tap into that with you. And we want to explore that and how that affects everything that we do and everything that we see and everything that we are in this life and beyond.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And we want to hear it from you. Like, what are the
100%.
signs? What are the things? What got you into this? If you're into this, or
Yes.
what are you skeptical about yourself? Like,
What are you
is it
curious about?
Yeah, all of it. We want to hear it all. We want just everybody to
Join us.
just be curious.
Come with us
Yeah.
to the light
Put a
side.
spell on you.
Yeah. I wish I had something witty to
I know.
respond,
We got
but
nothing.
I got nothing.
We're stretching. We're
This is-
reaching here, so
this
we got to
is-
cut it
yeah.
off, so we don't keep reaching.
Or we can just keep
And
going.
see.
We'll just be giggling. Okay. Bye.
Bye.